All right, chapter 4. Chapter 4 looks at the digestive system, how we transport it around, how we move it around, all the various fun structures here. These are the parts and pieces that we'll be talking about in the next unit. So we will be revisiting this material in the next unit. I'm going to start talking about the macronutrients and how we digest and break them down. We'll be harking back to, chapter 4. So this is going to be a chapter that we are going to be using a lot of over the next couple of units. What is the digestive system? Here is the digestive system. Sorry. Okay. Here is the digestive system from mouth to anus, one big long tube. This long tube has a few different functions. Really, the biggest one that we think of is truly digestion. Digestion is breaking the food down. There is a mechanical digestion. And a chemical digestion. Mechanical is physical breaking it down. Mouth, stomach, that's where you're going to see that, that mechanical breakdown of nutrients occurring. Chemical breakdown using enzymes. Excuse me, gosh dang it. Using enzymes to help break down these food stuff into smaller and smaller bits. Once we've broken it down, digested it, then we need to absorb it. So absorption is going to be a major function of this digestive system. This is primarily happening within the small intestine. It happens a little bit in the stomach. It happens a little bit in the large intestine. But for all intents and purposes, absorption is primarily going to be happening within the small intestine. When we absorb it into the cells that line the digestive tract, and then we get it into the circulatory system, the blood. Okay, the blood. It can get into lymph as well. Lymphatic system is this delicate system of tubes that helps to transport fats and excess fluids. So the lymphatic system we'll see with the when we start talking about lipids in the next part of the class. Third major function is to eliminate solid waste. As we are absorbing nutrients through the tubes, we are absorbing those nutrients, ultimately to get rid of it, to expel it. And that's what we see down there in the rectum and anus. But again, here is your digestive tract. It is about 16 feet long. I'm not going to ask you that. I just think it's kind of fantastic. 16 feet, holy smokes, that's a huge long tube. Mouth, esophagus, here is your mouth. Esophagus, the tube here that conducts the food from your mouth down to your stomach. Stomach is right here. Sorry. Small intestine, the large intestine, and we'll look at all the individual parts here in a little bit. And then the rectum and anus. That is the GI tract, the digestive tract, the alimentary canal. Oh my gosh, there's like 3,000 names for it. There are a number of accessory structures as well associated with it. These would be the teeth, tongue, and the salivary glands. And again, all of these are found in the mouth, obviously. Food does not travel through these things. They are there to assist the tube in order to work. Then the liver, right here, this big old thing, little bitty gallbladder that sits underneath it. And then the pancreas, which is all right here, kind of sits right here behind the stomach. These three things, the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas, again, food does not travel through them. That's what the digestive system is for, the tract, the canal, whatever. But they dump enzymes into the tube to help facilitate digestion. When we see the tube, I'm going to go ahead one picture and come back. When we see the tube, here is the tube. Again, from mouth to anus, one big long tube. This tube consists of a number of different layers. Here's a layer, and then another layer. Ultimately, they have like 4 different layers. One layer is muscular. That's going to be one you need to know. And then one layer is mucosa in nature. Okay? That one you need to know. We don't need to get into all the other layers. You can do that in anatomy class. Okay? The mucosa is the innermost layer. It surrounds the lumen. The lumen is just the space. The lumen is the space. Okay? The lumen is the space. Here is the mucosa. It's this innermost lining. Why is this one important? Because this is where we are going to get absorption of nutrients occurring within this layer. Okay? And we'll talk about absorption probably next week. It also secretes some mucus. There's some mucus producing cells that are found here as well. So it will secrete mucus. This, as you might imagine, helps to lubricate the tube, protect the tube, but most importantly, lubricate the tube, makes it easy for digestive materials to get pushed through the GI tract. The second other layer that I would like you to know is the muscular layer. And for 99% of the digestive tract, there are 2 layers of muscle, circular and longitudinal. Circular, as you might imagine, go in a circle. There it is right there. And then right outside that, I have a longitudinal layer of muscle as well. This helps to facilitate movement. This helps to facilitate movement. Okay. There we go. Here you can see, do I have a picture coming up? No, I don't have a picture coming up. Here you can see I have a layer of muscle contracting here, constricting, taking that hole and making it smaller. That's going to be that circular layer. Okay, that circular layer contracts and helps to facilitate the movement of food forward through the system. There's going to be another type of movement as well, but it's no net movement involved. And that's called segmentation, and that shimmies back and forth. If I go back here, there we go. That's going to be the longitudinal muscle. It shimmies back and forth to help break down food into smaller and smaller bits. Excuse me. That's going to be something that's really going to help facilitate the action that happens in the small intestines. So we got movement and we've got no net movement. Movement is peristalsis. This is involuntary. You don't say contract, relax, contract, relax to push that food forward through the system. All right. So this peristalsis is net movement. Oh my gosh, is net movement. Okay. I'm going to put this word over here. That's an E. Segmentation is no net movement. Okay. No net movement. Okay. No net movement. But here we get contraction of that circular layer of muscle, and then that helps to push that food forward through the tube. And here you can see this is just some peristalsis happening within the esophagus. I said in 99% of the digestive tract, we only have 2 layers of muscle. The one exception, exceptions to the rule are always fantastic to know. This is a third layer of muscle, and it's referred to as the oblique layer of muscle. And this is only found in the stomach. There is your circular, there is your longitudinal, and then there is that third layer, the oblique. Because of what is done, and there's that fancy segmentation word right there. Okay. Because of what the stomach does, the stomach helps to really churn, break down that food mass that you've swallowed down. It helps to mix the food content with the gastric secretions. So this third layer of muscle really helps to facilitate what the stomach functions in doing, mixing food stuff with gastric secretions. And it will go through, there is a rhyme and a reason to how this contracts, where contraction starts at the beginning when you start eating, where contractions end up being within the stomach. So there is some fun, kind of interesting things that goes into the stomach and how it contracts, but obviously we won't get into that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sphincters. Sphincters are awesome. Sphincters are areas of smooth muscle, a ring of circular muscle, that help to control the flow of material from one spot to the next spot within the GI tract. These things will contract and they will be stimulated to open up when they are told to. There's hormones that'll be secreted to help relax these sphincters so they open up. Sometimes it'll just be the material that is knocking on the door, so to say, that gets it to open up. But these sphincters are fantastic, okay? These really allow us to control the rate at which we digest materials, the rate at which we absorb materials. I'll give you an example. If I dump too much out of the stomach at one time into the small intestines, if I keep that sphincter open, okay, that pyloric sphincter, if I keep that open for too long, too much material gets into the small intestine, into the duodenum there. And if that happens, I won't be able to absorb as effectively everything that I am supposed to. So there could be too much content in there, and I could pass that, could have an exaggerated bowel movement. That lower esophageal sphincter there, it contracts, okay? As soon as the food mass is coming down, it relaxes and opens up, okay? Food enters into the stomach, and as soon as it enters into the stomach, it closes. That's awesome. That helps to keep all of that gastric juice, food stuff that you're breaking down, gets it to prevent it from going back up into your esophagus. Okay. Heartburn is when that sphincter gets loose and gets lax, and some of that gastric juice gets up in the esophagus of yours. Okay. So sphincters are a great thing because of what they do. Help to control the rate of digestion and absorption of nutrients. Lastly, here's those words. Here are mechanical breakdown, a chemical breakdown. Again, mechanical, physical breakdown, physical process. Mouth is where we think of that predominantly. Teeth, tongue, all that stuff. But it can also happen within the stomach because of that third layer of muscle. Chemical digestion, that's primarily what we will be talking about when we talk about the macronutrients. For this, it's the release of enzymes into that lumen to help facilitate their breaking down into smaller and smaller components. Okay? Something big, got to be broken down to individual parts so I can absorb them across that cell membrane, get them into the cell, get them into the blood, get it to your tissues.